Hello, this is Jim McKeith, Developer Evangelist for Embarcadero Technologies, and welcome to this Developer Skill Sprint on unlocking the Windows Runtime and Universal Windows Platform on Windows 10. We'll actually talk about a little bit on other platforms as well, but mostly we're going to focus on Windows 10 and the Windows Runtime. Most important link you need to grab is the embt.co/sprint-windows-10. That'll be a link to the replay as well as more information, slides to download, etc. So make sure you have that link so you can follow along after the sprint is over. This sprint works across Windows, all versions. Some of it works on only Windows 10, some works on other versions, and Windows specifically. It works with both Object Pascal and C++, although you'll notice there's a little asterisk on C++. Some of these things don't work on C++, and I'll point those out as we encounter those. Here's our agenda, so you can see we have a lot to cover, so let's get started. What is the Windows Runtime? WinRT, or the Windows Runtime, was introduced in Windows 8 as the default program interface. It is an object-oriented API, but it is a native code API. So it's not part of .NET. It's not managed code. It's also not the tablet version of Windows that Microsoft introduced called Windows RT. Confusion there. And it doesn't replace Win32. It actually operates at the same level as Win32. But it is the only way to access some features of Windows 10. So some things are only available through WinRT, while others are available through Win32. It is also asynchronous, which means it's non-blocking. So anytime you're going to make a call that could potentially block longer than 50 milliseconds or take longer than 50 milliseconds to access, you'll have a callback available so that you can, the main UI thread doesn't block is the important thing. So one of the things that unlocks is notifications. So previously we've had notification support on OS 10, iOS, and Android. Now that's also been unlocked on Windows 10. So it's been moved from the FireMonkey namespace to system.notifications, and it works across VCL, RTL, FireMonkey, all application types. You can schedule notification, or you can have a notification happen immediately. If you do want the notification to be able to relaunch your application needs to have a shortcut on the start menu or the desktop, I believe. And so you can find more information there at the link you see at the bottom. But then when the user clicks on the notification in the Action Center, it can relaunch your application if it does have a start menu link. Also new we can now use is the share contracts. So share contracts are a way that applications can share data, similar to the share sheet we saw on mobile. And so what happens is you publish some data and you say, I want to be able to share this. And then other applications can say, oh, I know how to share that. And they can show up here on the side in the sharing screen, and then the user can select which application they want to share it to, which then calls back to your application, and your application sends the data over to that application. Now, currently, our Win32 applications can use WinRT to be a share source. They can share data, and then the modern UI applications can be share destinations. But that's something that changed in Windows 10. In Windows 8, this is only available between modern UI applications completely based on Windows RT, or I guess it would be Universal Windows Platform applications. Microsoft overloads some of their terms, so it's kind of hard to be specific. But anyway, get the basic idea. There's two different options available. There's the T-sharing contract, which is a VCL component, or the T-share contract, which is just a RTL class, both of which perform the same operation. There is like 50 new Windows Runtime API interfaces. You see here's a list of them. They're available. Most of them are in the source RTL WinRT folder. These are wrappers around new APIs that are part of WinRT. So you can go in here and access these in order to make low-level WinRT calls. Now, most of this doesn't work in C++ yet because of some of the way the headers translations have to work, although I have a note about that later. There are some helpers available, the T-window string, which was introduced to wrap the new string type that Microsoft introduced for WinRT. And also we have some factories and stuff like that. So lots of great stuff available to make it easier to work with these new WinRT APIs. So it's going to be similar to the way you work with the Java APIs, or the Java bridge for Android, or the Objective-C bridge for iOS and OS 10, in that you have a little bit of interop code that makes it possible for you to call down into the WinRT. A number of new user interface elements. Now, one thing about these user interface elements is they're not actually pulling Windows 10 features directly. So actually they're not specific to Windows 10. So you have some flexibility to be able to use those on other platforms. But we have the new VCL and FireMonkey styles for Windows 10. New VCL controls like the activity indicator, which is similar to the FireMonkey animation indicator. The relative panel, which controls positions based on relative position, which is really cool. The search box lets you manually search or filter other controls. The split view, which is similar to the multi-view, it gives you this ability to have this expanded and contracted user interface, like a menu that comes from the side. And the toggle switch, which is just similar to the FireMonkey T-switch. Also, we have the ability to have native rendering on Windows now. So previously this was an iOS feature that we had where you can specify the control type from styled, which is the default, where it's rendered by FireMonkey on the GPU, to platform, where FireMonkey hands off the control to the OS, and then the OS performs the rendering. So this gives you some slightly different look and feel as well as behavior. So here's an example of the memo and edit that are changed. So the memo has, if it's rendered by FireMonkey, has the FireMonkey pop-up menu, and if it's rendered by the OS, it has the OS pop-up menu. And now let's do some demonstrations. To add notification support to your application, you need to include the T Notification Center component. This allows your application to send notifications to the Action Center, which is over here, and have your application interact with the user even if the application's already been closed. So to use the T Notification Center is pretty simple. Under the Show button, all we do is go to the Notification Center and create a notification, which gives us a T Notification component or T Notification object, and we set some properties on it. The name is a friendly name we use so that we're able to interact with it. A title, which is displayed to the user, and a body, which is the detailed information within there. You can also specify a time for the notification to appear if you want it to appear in the future. If you're doing a notification immediately, you say present notification. If you're scheduling a feature for you, say schedule notification. Once you've done this, once you made this call here, you've passed that notification off to the operating system. And so you free your local instance so that you freed it. And now the operating system is responsible for displaying that notification to the user. To cancel a specific notification, you say cancel notification and you give it that friendly name. So we have notification and notification 2 and notification 2. You're canceling it by name. And you can also cancel all, which will cancel all notifications that you've either sent or have scheduled for the future. This also works in C++. Here's the C++ code for you. And this sample also ships here. So you see here we're scheduling notification here, we're presenting notification here, and cancel notification, cancel all. Same functionality, just slightly different syntax. And then when a notification is tapped on, when the user taps on a notification, your application will get an event on the notification center, the on receive local notification, and you get the name of the notification that the user tapped on. So if there's multiple notifications, the name of which one they tapped on, or maybe so you know when they tapped on the notification if you have multiple scheduled in the future. And that's it. That's all there is to it. So let's go take a look at this running. So I'm going to show notification. You'll see it pops up down there in the lower right-hand corner. I can show another. It won't show the other one because there we go. Now it popped up. So that's Windows is queued it. So it turned that notification to a scheduled notification to wait till the first notification went away. And I believe, because my application was up, it says, oh, you've received that notification. It automatically declares that for me. So if I hit show and then go in here right away, we'll see there's notification in the Action Center, and I can cancel that one. And now it's gone. So when you click on that application, it also clears it because Windows is like, oh, you got that one already. So let's go ahead and show this one. And we'll tap on it here. So we saw the notification received. Here's the event. Show another one. And I'll tap on that one. So there you go. That's how notifications work. Pretty powerful way to keep your application interacting with the user. Like I said, you can schedule these in the future. So most likely scenario is your application is going to be running in the background, and when I'm notify the user something's occurred. We used to have all this crazy stuff we did to pop up stuff in the system tray. Now we can just do it all through notifications. Lots of options, lots of possibilities for using notifications on Windows 10. If you want to share data from your application to other applications, that's where you use the share contract. So we have a new share contract component that's called T sharing contract. And you just come in here and set the properties on this. So actually we'll go into the share property here. And we go in here and set all these properties to the data we want to share. So this is our application name, our source we're sharing from. And then we describe it, and data, title, text, package name, etc. All the data we want to share is put in here. And then we call initialize sharing. So initialize sharing occurs. The bar is going to appear at the right-hand side of the screen so that the user can select the application they want to share to. And then there's actually going to be an event that comes back on the component here. So on app chosen is going to come back, and then that's going to tell us what application the user chose to receive the data, so we can find that out. And at this point, the component's going to then stream that data into the other application. So it doesn't actually send the data to their application until the application's chosen, because it may only want certain types of data and stuff like that. But all that's handled for us by the share contract component. Now it does here, when the user selects an image, we do specifically stream that image to the application that's receiving it. So let's go ahead and take a look at this running. So when I hit share, right now, there we go, this bar pops up here. I'll move so it's easier to see both of these. Oops, that goes away. Share. All right. So when sent to the OS, so see here, edit data title. Edit data title is the data title, right? See, edit description. There it is, showing up there. So this is showing up saying, hey, this is available to be shared. Now, all things I have installed on my system right now are OneNote and Mail that are able to receive these. And so these are UWP applications that say, I can receive stuff via the share contract. So let's go ahead and tap on OneNote. And so we see right here, we get the event back, application chosen OneNote. So here's the data that we've sent out here. Let's go back to, we'll do Mail. We see that the event was Mail. Now I don't have Mail set up, so we don't actually see all this stuff happening here. But anyway, that's the basic functionality of sending data via the share contract. So OneNote for C++, as I mentioned, a couple of things didn't work with C++ yet. But if you do want to unlock some more C++ WinRT functionality, you can download these interfaces separately via Get-It. So just go into Get-It, find the C++ Windows 10 WinRT interfaces, and you can download those. So what exactly is the Universal Windows Platform? We touched on it just briefly. It's kind of an overloaded term. It's more of a marketing term than a technical term. So it means different things at different times to different people. So I'm going to try and explain mostly what it is and then explain how that fits into what we're doing with 10 Seattle. So if an app is built with WinRT, then it becomes a Universal Windows Platform app to a degree. That means it has full access to the platform. Also, Universal Windows Platform apps are the apps that you can distribute through the Windows Store. Now, all apps built with WinRT can't be distributed through the Windows Store. Only some certain apps can. But when it's distributed through the Windows Store, it has sandbox execution for user safety. So this means the application is not going to leave behind a bunch of DLLs and go and break other applications once it's installed. Also, it's able to have automatic updates, which is a great feature where the Windows Store can just download the updates and also have a manual automatic uninstall for a much cleaner user experience. So it does require a universal app ID. Now, there are times you can use universal app ID with just a WinRT application. So it's not completely open to Win32 apps today. But one additional potential, it has the potential to have the same app on all Microsoft platforms. Now, there is a new bridge coming called the Project Centennial Bridge, and this will bridge Win32 to Universal Windows Platform applications. So what that means is a Delphi application, an Object Pascal application, a C++ builder application could take advantage of everything you still see here on the screen that's not been grayed out. So basically everything except being able to run the same app across multiple platforms. You'd be able to take advantage from a Win32 or I guess Win64 application through the Project Centennial Bridge. This is something Microsoft's still working on, haven't released yet, but in the future it's something that we're planning to support and take full advantage of so that your applications can be distributed through the Windows Store, have full access to the platform, and have that great sandboxed execution mode for user safety with automatic updates. So there's a few things you won't be able to do if you want to go this route. For example, if your application requires escalation, user access control to pop up and escalate the application to administrator privileges, it's not possible because once you do that, then you're breaking outside the sandbox. But it doesn't run your app inside a virtual machine or anything crazy like that. It's still going to run your application natively, which is going to give you the best performance. So you're really going to get the best of both worlds with Project Centennial, which, like I said, is coming soon. If you want more information on Project Centennial, that link down at the bottom at channel 9 is the intro session from Build 2015. So take a look at that session there. If you don't have time to jot down all these links, just remember that Sprint-Windows-10 link down there at the bottom is going to have a link to all these links and more, the slides, and eventually the video replay. But the first links up you see at the top are to the doc wiki. So for more information on these things here, and then also the Code Rage 10 sessions. We have 4 different Code Rage 10 sessions on Windows 10. There's a C++ and Delphi version of each, and we have a unlocking Windows 10 WinRT and UWP, which is going to be similar to the one we just had, a little bit longer. And then we have the user interface, user experience sessions for C++ and Object Pascal as well. Next time, we're going to have using Android intents for inter-app communication. This is going to be on December 1st, so be sure you join us there. You can see the full schedule and sign up if you haven't signed up yet there at embt.co/uppercase-sprints 2015. The times are at 6:11 and 5 p.m. San Francisco time. That's the official time. Make sure that you check the timeanddate.com to make sure that you find the right time for your time zone. Give me a moment to tell you briefly about the promotions we have available for anyone that upgrades to Delphi, C++ Builder, or Rad Studio 10 Seattle. Between now and December 31st, registered users of any earlier version can qualify for upgrade pricing. This is a savings of up to 45% off the new user price. Additionally, all registered users of 10 Seattle get access to the bonus pack. The bonus pack includes the new book by Nick Hodges, More Coding in Delphi. This covered writing solid code, aspect-oriented programming, parallel programming, and many more patterns and practices. Also, the new book by Marco Cantu, The Object Pascal Handbook. This is a modern language guide that covers many new language features as well as the core runtime library. Additionally, you get the MIDA Converter Basic, which does a lot of the heavy lifting to help you convert existing VCL applications to FireMonkey to take advantage of multi-device development. And also the VCL and FireMonkey premium styles. These premium styles give you the styles you need to have your application really stand out and have a professional look and feel. The styles are also available for consistency between VCL and FireMonkey to give you consistent look and feel across platforms. Also, as a special offer between now and December 18th, if you buy or upgrade to Professional, Enterprise, or Ultimate, you can additionally get Konopka Signature VCL controls for free and CodeSight Studio 5 for free. If you upgrade to Architect, though, you get the Rad Studio Solution Pack for free, which includes most every component you need for your application development. All this you receive immediately without any extra steps on your part. For more information about these special offers and more, visit Embarcadero.com/radoffer. Okay, thanks for joining us today. If you're joining us live, we're going to do our live Q&A. If not, then you can listen to our Q&A recordings from before. Ludo's asking, when will notifications be available for C++? C++ already has notifications. It doesn't have the share sheet and the low-level WinRT calls. I think some of the low-level WinRT calls work, but all of them probably do not. So, but they do work in Object Pascal. As far as when they will be available, I believe they will be available in the next release. They weren't in update 1. I believe so. They will be available in the next release, but you would have to see when they are available there. The currently C++ does have support for notifications with WinRT, but not the share sheet or low-level calls. So Alf's asking if you could use the notification center to schedule some other program to start in the future. So the way notifications work is that when a notification appears, if the user taps on it, it can relaunch your application that launched the notification. It can't launch another notification. Now, you could have the user tap on it, and your application can come up and say, oh, they've tapped on notification XYZ. That means I'm going to launch program ABC. If you do want to schedule apps to launch in the future, though, that would be what you'd want to use the task scheduler for. So take a look at this task scheduler. I believe there is some great wrappers for that in the JCL, Jedi Component Library. This question's Ian's asking if the notifications would survive a reboot. They should survive a reboot. So once you've dispatched them to the OS, then the OS is in charge of that. It's conceivable the OS may decide to disregard notifications, but it's supposed to keep track of those and have them survive a reboot. Oh, here's a question. Can my app receive data via shared contracts? So shared contracts on Windows 10 do go both directions, both as a source and as a destination. Currently, the share contract source is only open to Win32 applications, or Win32 applications are only open to being a share contract source. So they're only open to being source of a share contract. Now, once Project Centennial is released and we have support for Project Centennial, then it'll be open to being a share contract destination. Now, we're waiting for Microsoft to release Project Centennial. They haven't even got a beta of it yet, so that's a very forward-looking statement, as it were. So that's our expectation. But for now, 10 Seattle, you can be a share contract source and have all the other great Windows 10 features and WinRT features that we showed. And like I said, UWP is kind of a loaded term because technically, if it's built on WinRT, then it's a UWP to a degree. And then even after Centennial, it's going to have most of the UWP functionality, but not all the UWP functionality. So anyway, hopefully that helps clarify that. Can I send data from a T-stream via a share contract? If it is an image or text, then you can. So share contract has specific buckets that you're passing data through, and those buckets, I believe, are either images or text. So if that stream contains an image or text, or if you want to pass it as an image or text and then do something on the other side, so convert it to base 64 encoded or something like that, and pass it as text or something, you could do that. You're kind of pushing at what the OS is trying to support there. So take a look at that, do some experimentation, but your mileage may vary, as it were. So the first question is, what happens if the T notification is used on a Windows 7 machine for VCL applications? So Windows 7 does not support notifications. My understanding is Windows 8.1 has partial support for notifications, but doesn't work very well. So discouraged to use on that platform either. So really, this is a Windows 10 feature. Windows 7 doesn't support it, so it would do nothing on Windows 7. So you want to check the platform and make sure that it is Windows 10. Although I've seen numbers showing apparently people are upgrading to Windows 10 like gangbusters. So I know I still have a couple dedicated use computers that I haven't updated yet, but just because I haven't gotten around to it yet. Not that I ever use them anymore, but apparently, yeah, lots of Windows 10 upgrades going on. So hopefully in the near future, everybody will be on Windows 10 and you don't have to worry about older versions anymore. So Joe is asking if there's something similar on OS 10 for notifications. Actually, OS 10 does have notification support, and I'm pretty sure, quite positive that it does support, Delphi does support, or Delphi and C++ Builder both support notifications on OS 10 as well. So that means all 4 platforms that are supported, OS 10, iOS, Android, and Windows 10, now support notifications. So it's everywhere. It's everywhere you want to be. You can get notification support, all through the same notification center component. So there's some questions about Project Centennial. So Project Centennial is not released yet, but based on what Microsoft has said, it will support all 32-bit, 64-bit Delphi and C++ Builder applications. Now, I haven't specifically said it will work with Delphi and C++ Builder applications, but my understanding is based on the way it's going to package it up and work with existing Win32 applications, that it will work with Delphi and C++ Builder applications. They haven't released a beta yet or anything like that. This is a new mechanism for getting into the Windows Store. It's not based on the existing rules they have for Windows Store. This is a new way that Win32 applications can get into the Windows Store. So based on my understanding, it should work. You can take a look at the Project Centennial intro session there from Build if you want some more information about that. Otherwise, we will wait and we eagerly awaiting Microsoft's release of Project Centennial Beta so we can start testing on that. If there are any other questions, go ahead and put them in the question panel in the GoToWebinar software, and I will do my best to get them answered for you. I will put the link in here for the blog notes page one more time in the chat window, so it should be popping up right now if you want to grab that. I've transcribed, I think, most all the notes from the slides into the blog notes page, so you can actually go in there and get all of that, since there's quite a bit of data in the slides here, as well as a lot of other stuff that wasn't covered in the slides just because I didn't have time. All the samples I showed you are included with 10 Seattle, so if you don't have 10 Seattle, download the trial. There's the link in the upper right hand corner there. You can download the trial and get started with 10 Seattle today. If you do have 10 Seattle, you've got the samples available to you, so you can go ahead and get started trying out notifications in Windows 10. Actually, there's some other Windows 10 samples I didn't get to either. So notifications, share contract, and all the other great Windows 10 features available in 10 Seattle. So there was a question about if the notifications works on other platforms. It actually does work across also on OS 10, iOS, Android, and now Windows 10. So it previously worked on the other three platforms. New in 10 Seattle is the ability to work on OS 10. I'm sorry, on Windows 10. There was notification support in Windows, I believe it's 8.1, I can't remember if 8.8 had it or not, but it didn't work quite right. So whether or not you can get the new notification center support to work on 8.1, originally they're saying it should work, but then after testing they're saying, it doesn't really work very well. So probably anybody that's on Windows 8, tell them to upgrade to Windows 10, and then you can take advantage of notifications on that platform. Just apparently there wasn't quite ironed out on Microsoft's side as far as making those notifications work. So the question here, the universal Windows platform is to be integrated into Delphi's VCL application mode, not FMX mode, right? Okay, so the way it's going to work, my understanding, and like as I mentioned, this isn't released yet. Microsoft hasn't even given us a beta or any bits to look at. But if you go watch that Centennial session that you see a link on the screen there from Build, Microsoft's going to have this process available whereby a Windows 32 or Windows 64 application can be bundled up into an AppX and have all of the DLLs and registry files and support files it needs bundled up with it. Now, the great thing about Delphi and C++ Builder applications is usually you don't need a lot of DLLs and support files with your application. So that means it's going to be easy to make that bundle. Once that's in that bundle, then that application can then be deployed through the Windows Store, updated through the Windows Store and uninstalled, and it gets full advantage of UWP. So you're able to access all the platform features, which will mean being able to be a share destination as well as a share source, for example. Now, that's not going to be specific to FireMonkey or VCL at that point. At least that's my understanding of the way Microsoft's going to roll it out. There shouldn't be any differentiation whether it's a FireMonkey application or a VCL application. It will just care that it's a valid Win32 application. The only limitation they're putting on it is that you can't, well, there's a few limitations, but the biggest limitation is that you can't escalate to admin privileges. If your app invokes user access control and tries to escalate to admin privileges, then it can't be distributed that way because that would cause it to break out of the sandboxing that they provide. So anyway, hopefully that answers your question. It's not going to be tied to VCL or FireMonkey. It should work with both. It'll just be a way to bundle up your application to be distributed through Windows Store. So basically, on Android and iPhone, and actually OS 10, all three of those platforms, when you build your application and deploy it, the deployment manager goes through a process. If you've used those, you'll notice the deployment manager has all these files and it says what folders to go in relative to this package. So it's building a bundle, a package. That's what's going to happen for Windows 10, is that we're going to have something similar to that, I'm sure, that will then bundle that up so that you can be distributed that way. But again, we're just waiting for Microsoft to release those bits, and then hopefully we'll be able to roll out support for that in the near future. If the great thing, though, is as soon as Microsoft releases support for Centennial, then you'll be able to use 10 Seattle to do that as well. We should be able to use 10 Seattle to do that as well. So you wouldn't need anything necessarily from us, but we'll have support released later that will make that much easier to work with. What sort of thing causes an escalation to admin privileges? Anything we might inadvertently do. So, for example, if you wanted to modify the system, the Windows folder, contents of the Windows folder, contents of the program files folder, if you wanted to write to the another user's space, so another folder that was owned by another user, or a folder that was owned by system, or into the registry on the local machine, HKey local machine, as opposed to HKey current user. So those are the sort of things that would require you to escalate to UAC. Now, most likely, if your app's running on Windows 7 or Windows Vista, Windows 7 or Windows 8, Windows 8.1, and you're not dealing with UAC escalations, then you're not having that problem, because as of XP, XP is when Microsoft started introducing this safer computing idea where applications couldn't go out and muck up things. But in Vista is when it really came down hard, in that you had to get permission to do certain things. And so that was one of the problems people had with Vista, is they weren't used to this UAC popping up all the time, because applications weren't used to not being able to just go around and muck up the system wherever they wanted to. So if you've been working on, like I said, anything since Vista, if you're not getting UAC dialogues now, then you should be fine for Windows Store distribution once Centennial comes out. So hopefully that answers your question, Scott. Question here. So the Universal Windows Platform is not to be confused with Astoria project, right? So the Universal Windows Platform is Microsoft's term for applications that take full advantage of Windows 10 platform. Now, they had two project bridges. Actually, they have, I think, 5 bridges. There's a bridge for web applications. There's a bridge for iOS applications. There was a bridge for Android applications, and a bridge for Win32 applications, and a bridge for .NET applications. So last time I count bridges, that was. The Astoria bridge was the bridge for Android applications to be able to run on Windows Phone 10. Unfortunately, they actually have postponed that bridge. They had a beta out for it, and we were testing it, and it was looking great. You may have saw it during Code Rage, but they've postponed that bridge. Hopefully not indefinitely. They're not saying for how long, but it is currently postponed. So the Astoria bridge is what allows an Android app to become a UWP app and run on Windows Phone. Now, the Centennial bridge is the bridge that allows a Win32 or Win64 app to become a UWP app and run on the Windows desktop. So, but then like I said, there's other bridges for other for bridging between other application types. So yeah, Centennial is a different project than Project Astoria, but they both had a similar goal of getting Astoria was from Android, Centennial's from Win32, Win64, both of which had the goal of bridging it to UWP to make it a UWP application. Okay, great. Well, thank you for joining us today. And I will point out that next week we are rolling out actually 2 series of skill sprints. So the Object Pascal Delphi skill sprint will continue on Tuesday, but then on Thursday we're going to have a C++ specific skill sprint. And so that way, if you're into C++, you just tune in on Thursday, and everything's going to be C++. There's not going to be anything that's like, oh, well, this only works in Delphi. If it's on Thursday, it's C++. If it's on Tuesday, it's Delphi Object Pascal. So be sure to take a look at that and make sure you're signed up for the new C++ skill sprints if you're interested in C++. And either way, we will see you online next week. Oh, let's see, hold on. Similar objective, but definitely not the same thing. Yes, correct. They're similar objective in that they're bridging to UWP, but they're bridging from different locations, from Android versus Windows 32 to Windows 10 on the Windows Phone and Windows 10 on the desktop. So 2 different locations as well, but similar conceptually. You're correct. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for joining us, and do check out the links and fire up Windows 10 and your 10 Seattle IDE and get building some great Windows 10 applications today. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.